This goes out to all of fans of first-person shooters. I want to finally make this video that I've been thinking about for at least a couple days now. I mean, I've been thinking about it longer, the topic longer than that, but I've been thinking about making the video for a couple days, and that's basically a video on killing Counter-Strike. I don't think this has ever been done before. I don't think anything like this has been done before. But the point I'm trying to make is that this game, Counter-Strike, which admittedly is a fairly good game, all in all, is suppressing the scenes and the competitive scenes of actually superior games that have really far surpassed it in overall quality, and yet this tradition of Counter-Strike from the early 2000s and the competitive scene that it came from is sort of been brought into the modern era, and it's really putting FPS, the genre of FPS, in an overall bad place when compared to other genres, other PvP genres. And here are basically the reasons why. Let me just go over first the history of Counter-Strike. I believe it was created in the year 2000 off of Half-Life, off of using the technology, using the engine and the platform that was made for a single-player game originally, Half-Life. And this basically spawned all sorts of mods off of Half-Life 2, from Half-Life 2, and took it online and into a PvP realm. And when it came out, this game was fucking amazing. It was realistic. It had, at the time, great graphics, great movements, great, a great feel to it in general. And even to this day, I would say that Counter-Strike, even in its most modern form, I won't get in the modern form yet, and then later, it went to what was basically the pinnacle of it, was the update of 1.6. I don't know how many times it was updated before 0.6. I guess that was the 6th iteration of being updated, and then at that point it reached sort of the pinnacle of quality that game was ever going to get, and both competitively and just structurally, as far as what the game is capable of providing to the users. And from there, it then turned into Source, which was like, okay, it was decent, added some new things, basically more or less the same game, but it didn't really add anything new. In fact, some things about it on a competitive level, people considered to be inferior to 1.6, right? So you already got a problem. And then they fucking come out with Go, which was pretty cool. I mean, the best thing about Go was like the matchmaking aspect of it, where you had rank and you would find people of similar rank and you could play people who are, in theory on your level. And so it kind of balances it on that level. But holy shit, this is like almost 2 decades later, this game is still at the top, which is preposterous for so many reasons. Let me just go into the actual game dynamics, okay? Counter-Strike is a pretty basic bitch game. Let's just keep it real. Like, for all the oh my god like moments that you could have in that game, which by the way you can have in any shooter, because those amazing moments come from hitting hard shots and doing, making complex tactics work out for you, which can happen in literally any shooter, by the way. But on the level of just fun pub gameplay, like as a casual gamer, if like you want to play a shooter, there's really no reason for you to play Counter-Strike over, titles such as Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo, Overwatch. These type of titles, I mean, as far as playing pubs goes, are vastly superior to Counter-Strike. You don't need to have nearly as much in-game knowledge and in-depth and or as much precision, in-game knowledge, or any of that crap in order to just have fun, and you could still learn. And frankly, I mean, these more modern iterations they are they have more, the game is just more fun. I mean, from having a vast variety of maps to different types of weapons to just having the ability to quick spawn and replay game, and just replayability factors into it and all of that. I mean, okay, so probably the worst things about those casual games, of course, they come out with a new iteration like every couple of years or every year or something like that. So in order to keep up, you have to keep buying it, which, I don't think is that great of a business model, but obviously it works. But it's obviously problematic in the long run because people don't want to keep reinvesting. But as far as the actual dynamics of those games, are actually way better. I mean, first of all, just the Counter-Strike fucking sucks when it comes to actually having, quality diversity within the game. Like, they have all these weapons, and yet there's a consensus as to which ones are the best, clearly the best, and then some are obviously just, even structured in the game, some are just meant to be better than others. And yet it's supposed to sort of balance out based on cost, which isn't that great of a feature, where you're buying the weapons for in-game credits, and then so certain ones are just better than others, so everything sort of peaks out no matter what, and there's just a few exceptions within the game of buying sort of lesser guns for cheaper is the only diversity you have. So everything sort of gets streamlined in a single direction with the same shit over and over and over again, So on that level alone, the game is fucking bunk. Like, let's be real. And yeah, and so there's no reason on the casual level to play it, but then here's the argument. But Counter-Strike is an esport. It is a competitive game, and it has certain features that make it like a sport, like like basketball or something like that, where the rules are kind of set in place. It doesn't change that much, therefore it can stay as an esport. To that I say, you have a good point, but sadly, it's still outdated, and there's still better games even for that sort of even for that function, as a competitive esport, both to play and as entertainment. And this game is suppressing these better games because people are attracted to it, because has sort of developed this occult following around it from this tradition of the early 2000s that has come up all the way to now. And that's why I'm trying to kill it, so that these games that are I find to be more interesting on very many levels can actually come up, and people can start playing and enjoying these other games that I'm about to mention, more, and develop them more. For example, when it comes to just a direct competitor to Counter-Strike, the game Rainbow Six, which came out like a year and a half ago at this point, maybe 2 years ago, is the same in genre. It's that realistic shooter, sort of like invade the take over a building or whatever, or capture hostages, or defend the bombs and stuff like that. That sort of style of game. On a competitive level, Rainbow Six was developed in a much more interesting way. First of all, you have these different classes. So the diversity is inherent in already being able to pick different classes. The whole game isn't just streamlined around like 2 or 3 weapons, like the AWP, the M4, and the AK or whatever, right? So you have all these different functions, all these different classes that have different abilities, and it's not like Overwatch abilities where it's like fantastical. No, it's realistic. So one guy has a depth charge, the other guy can like use scanners to look through walls, and just go look it up, like all the different classes and all the different interesting features that this game has over Counter-Strike, when it is a direct competitor in that genre. And it is way more interesting, way more intricate, way more fun, way less streamlined, has more diversity, and is just also a way better eye candy. Like as a consumer of watching, uh, gaming, I would much rather watch people play Rainbow Six than Counter Strike. No doubt about it. For many reasons, just on aesthetics alone, and on top of all the different tactics and strategies and different implementations of different gear and weapons and so forth. So on that level, I completely think Rainbow Six is just a superior game and should take everyone who likes that genre of Counter Strike, of sort of special unit ops type of realistic scenarios, and really check out Rainbow Six and leave Counter Strike behind. But then on a completely different level of a shooter that I enjoy very much, or this type of that's also made to be a competitive level game and be sort of has the qualities to be a legitimate esports, but it is obviously takes a little bit of a different niche, is wargaming games. And but that's on the level of like tanks and planes and warships. But as far as just interest in the game, I mean, it's really good, really well made, has huge varieties of possibilities on different tier levels. I mean, I'm not even going to go into it, but it's just these games are more interesting. And this isn't a direct competitor with, only in the sense that it's also a shooter and also has the potential to be an esport. It's a competitor to Counter-Strike, but obviously it doesn't take that same niche specifically of like a realistic tactical, FPS like on that. It's kind of like a combination of FPS and being first person and third person shooter wargaming games. But, obviously it's made by a Russian company and people hate Russians, so they're probably never going to check it out. Too bad for them. It's pretty popular in Europe, but I don't think the American audience is ever going to really buy into that because of their inherent bias and, also traditional hatred for all things Russia, political enemies, whatever. But anyway, I digress. And so let me go back into it. So just hear me out. Counter-Strike is an outdated, shitty game. It is. And the fact that it's like sucking up the market, and then that people are going to this game and kind of not branching out from there, and they're going to like this old traditional game, really sucks for the genre. It's really suppressing the genre in general, because there are these more interesting games that are better on many levels that aren't getting the recognition that they deserve and could actually grow the industry much more because how much more interesting they are getting suppressed by this like stupid tradition of fucking Counter-Strike. So fuck Counter-Strike, and if you're fucking gonna do a rebuttal video on this, please do it. I want to hear why Counter-Strike's so fucking great, and I could debate you on that all fucking day. But take my word for it, leave Counter-Strike in the dust. Go to these superior next generation games so that we can grow the industry and take FPS up to the heights that it deserves to be at. Peace the fuck out.